Hi, good morning. We're reading The Mystery of History, Volume 4, page 246. We are talking about Charles Eastman, who is also called Ohiyesa, and Chief Joseph. Okay, I haven't read about these people before. In 1876, so when was 1876? Let's click in our minds here.
Oh, that was the 100th anniversary of the U.S.
Oh, yeah, 100 years since America declared independence. It's also right during the middle of the Impressionist movement. What else? Also during the middle of the women's suffrage movement, women's push to get the right to vote, because that was a long movement.
It's hard to believe it was all the way back in 1876.
And also, let's see, right after the opening of Japan. Okay. In 1876, there was an 18-year-old named Charles Alexander Eastman. He boarded a train to travel to college in Wisconsin. The unusual part of the story is that Charles Eastman was a Native American. It said he was of mixed descent, meaning, I guess, some of his heritage was not Native American. He was born in a buffalo hide teepee and raised under the name Ohiyesa. And let's see, he was raised with both Native American and a classical education upbringing. Oh, it says classical education in medicine. He was truly experienced in his lifetime both sides of the American way of life. Yes, oh. Living about the same time as Charles was Chief Joseph. He was the leader of the Nez Perce, who fought bravely to save his people. Okay, so the Nez Perce. Okay. Trying to emphasize where they want me to emphasize. So Chief Joseph was the leader of Nez Perce. Chief Joseph has been remembered by American Indians and those who aren't American Indians as one of the greatest Native Americans who ever lived. Okay, so this is their story. Ohiyesa was born near Redwood Falls in Minnesota. He was the fifth child of a Dakota family. The Dakota, or Lakota, also called the Sioux Indians. His mother was part European and part from the Dakota people. Unfortunately, she passed away giving birth to him. Sad.
It is.
4 years later, his father was presumed dead. Sorry, that was rough. They thought he passed away after a battle between the European Americans and the Dakota Indians. So, his grandmother, his uncle, and his cousins, his father's mother and his uncle and his cousins adopted him as one of their own, and they left to Canada for safety among the other Dakota Indians. Like most of the Dakota boys, Ohiyesa learned from the mother figure in his life to be quiet, generous, spiritual, self-controlled, and respectful to elders. From his uncle, he learned to hunt, swim, wrestle, ride ponies, and emulate the warrior heroes of the Dakota. From his friends and cousins, he learned to laugh, play, and make war upon bees, just for fun. I do not make war upon the bees. Although I did smash one the other day when we were at that flag football. So I guess I did make war upon a bee. Sorry, go ahead.
I think the bees were their honey and tried to not be stung.
As was the tradition of most Plains Indians, the Dakota were close-knit people. Their women were devout, restrained, and managers of the family teepee. When they say devout, I do not think they mean to the Lord. I think they might mean to idols. A Dakota maiden was valued for her modesty, industry, and care for those in need. Few went with unmet needs among the Indians because they always took care of each other. I wonder how that looks, because I'm just thinking they don't have any homeless people. Because it's like a culture. It's a culture of, and I'm just wondering what that looks like. Because if somebody says, well, I don't want to work. Well, I don't know. I don't want to. And not that that's all homeless. A lot of homeless people have been through some really hard stuff that just led them there. But if they don't have any homeless in their culture, like,
That's
you know,
crazy that we have to imagine what that looks like.
I'm just trying to imagine like what the mentality is. It's like not even an option. It's like, no, it's not. It doesn't even cross their mind as like a possibility. Okay.
That crosses our mind as 1,000 possibilities.
Well, not our minds, and not in our family, but in our culture. Dakota wives were expected to be as brave as their husbands, as well as the spiritual leaders of their children. It was the mother or the grandmother who awakened the senses of the child to the natural world around them. Every quiet walk in the woods or trip to a stream was deemed a teaching moment. Reverence for the great mystery of God was a way of life for the Dakota. I don't know if that means God, or I don't know.
They put the G in
It has a capital G here, so she's a Christian who's writing this, so it might be the true God. There were no known atheists. Maybe it is the God, Lord. Dakota men deeply valued their family, their fellow warriors, and their elders. Politically, they ran their affairs as a pure democracy, as did most American Indian tribes. Council meetings were held to allow for long, rhythmic speeches from all members. But the words of the elderly were most revered. Being nothing like the Impressionists of our last lesson, the Dakota would not attempt to paint scenes of nature. They believed that the creation of the great maker was far too beautiful to capture on a canvas. For the simple love of life, the Dakota danced, made music, and played a sport similar to lacrosse. So maybe they did worship the true God. Getting back to Ohiyesa, he would say that he had the greatest childhood a boy could wish for, with an abundance of love and an unbridled freedom to explore. His only darkness was when his father had passed away. Did we say that was in a battle?
Yes. I thought they said that they thought he had passed.
Yeah, it said he was presumed that he had, so I mean. He grew up assuming that he would one day he assumed that he would take revenge for the people who had attacked his people and caused the death of his father. His warrior uncle would teach him to greatly resent people, European Americans, meaning people with khaki-colored skin tones. So.
You mean they weren't khaki color?
No, it means his uncle taught him to be racist. Knowing this, I suppose one of the strangest moments in the life of young Ohiyesa was the day his father came home, dressed in the clothes of an American European. She's calling them by color. We don't call people by color, especially when that's not actually their color.
We are not chalk white.
So it had been 9 years that they thought he had passed away, and he finally returned to find his children. Apparently, he and his father and several other Dakota had not perished, but had been kept alive as prisoners of war under the orders of Abraham Lincoln. While he had been held captive, Ohiosa's father was exposed to the Western teachings and to the gospel of Christ, and when he heard the good news, he chose to become a Christian.
Well, that's good.
Having learned to fear and appreciate an entirely different culture, Ohiosa's father believed that Dakota would thrive best if they fully embraced the European American way. He insisted that Ohiosa, at 15, go to boarding school in Nebraska and adopt the name Charles Alexander Eastman. Out of respect for his father, Ohiosa obeyed.
Charles for short.
His siblings also changed their names to common Bible names, John, David, James, and Mary. John would later become a Christian minister. After 3 years of boarding school, Charles Eastman showed that he was a brilliant student. And that's when he chose to attend, I don't know how to pronounce this word, Beloit. Did you find it? Yeah, it was Beloit.
I get it. Where's your boarding school? Below it. Below where? No, it's below it, not below where.
All right, Beloit College in Wisconsin, as mentioned earlier. He boarded a loud monster of a train to get there. For him, in his perspective, it was a loud monster. And attended the college, a liberal arts college, in this strange new world. He started the same year that Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. There were sights, smells, sounds of the town, the bustling campus. They were all completely new to him. In memory of his father, he embraced every new experience and studied hard in college. He also adopted the Christian faith of his father. Charles would say, "It was here," meaning in college, "and now that my eyes were opened intelligently to the greatness of Christian civilization. I saw it as the development of every natural resource, the broad brotherhood of mankind, the blending of all languages, and the gathering of all races under one religious faith." All right, this is his picture right here. You can definitely see some of the American Indian in him. Ironically, it was only 3 months before Charles went to Beloit that General George Custer was defeated by the Dakota and the Cheyenne Indians. This was at the Battle of Little Bighorn, and it's remembered as Custer's last stand. General Custer and his entire cavalry were defeated by Chief Sitting Bull and the other Indian warriors. This conflict would haunt Charles Eastman because his uncles were on the winning side in that battle. Historians still debate exactly what went wrong.
Wait, did his tribe lose?
His tribe won, but he's having mixed emotions because here he is trying to adopt this American culture, and he's a Christian now. So, Custer was loved by some as a hero, but hated by some for his arrogance. Regardless, the Battle of Little Bighorn would spur more distrust between the Indians who lived among the European Americans. This is exactly what Charles was doing. He was living among European Americans. Remember, his father encouraged him to adopt these new American ways. Because of his good character, Charles slowly overcame racial tensions at Beloit College and contributed greatly to the athletic program. He was captain of the football team and held the school record in long-distance running. That's impressive.
Probably because being in nature so much and running.
Yeah, they probably did a lot of running every day. No problem. He's like, this is no problem.
I think the other people are like, this is fine. Hey, wake up! We didn't spend our lives out.
He's used to running over rough terrain. They're used to running over a smooth path. Okay. With scholarship money, he moved and attended Knox College, graduated from Dartmouth, and received a medical degree from Boston. This was amazing. Charles was extraordinary, and he was also loved by his classmates, the students at Boston University, and they voted for Charles to give a speech. What time is it? We've been reading for 15 minutes. Okay, I think we're going to stop there. How far did we read? 1, 2. Yeah, we're going to stop there and we'll start to read tomorrow, or maybe not tomorrow, about trials and heartache. This is a long lesson. Okay, we'll stop there. Goodbye.